So Kevin is going to get us started tonight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin, and welcome to Global Air Learning. We are here to share and learn interesting stuff and make friends with other kids. If you want to be the speaker or participate in any teamwork of this program, please register as a member on our website, icea1.org/registration. The link of the website is on the slide. You can also scan the QR code on the slide to go to the registration. Today's presentation topic is about Alcatraz Island. We are really happy to have Ethan present to us. We are going to have our newer participants introduce themselves. Now, I am going to introduce myself. My name is Kevin, and I am 10 years old. I live in Seattle, Washington State. Some of the things I like to do include playing soccer, writing stories, playing music, and doing presentations. Now, why don't we have teacher Tanya introduce herself?
Thank you to our host, Kevin. My name is teacher Tanya, and I have been teaching for over 29 years. But guess what? Every single day, I am learning something, just like you. So I love to read, I love to write, I love science and math and art, and I love making new friends. So I'm really excited that you're all joining us tonight. So first, I'll have our friends who have jobs with us tonight introduce themselves, and then we'll call on our newer friends. Annie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Annie, and I am 9 years old. I currently live in Seattle, Washington. Some things I like to do include playing piano, going outside, and playing Chinese checkers. And I will be your coordinator today.
Wonderful. Austin, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Austin. I am 8 years old. The things I like to do include playing piano, playing soccer, playing basketballs, and a lot of exercises. And I live in Vancouver, Canada, and I will be the coordinator today.
Wonderful. Jessica, and then we'll go to Zhao Qin.
Hello everyone, my name is Jessica. I am 14 years old. I live in Eastville, California. Some of my hobbies are baton twirling, piano, ballet, playing golf, and reading. Today I am the admin of this session. Nice to meet everyone. Thank you.
Wonderful. And you were holding up your Charlotte's Web book. Can you introduce yourself and tell us things you like to do and where you live?
Yes, I'm right now at California. And then I have Baby Cooper, Foxy. Say hi to Foxy. She likes to eat sweets, yes. I also use this computer because this is my English computer to get on here. So I got a map of California right here.
Fantastic. Thank you. Rebecca, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Rebecca, and I like to watch TV, play games, and play piano. I live in California.
Wonderful. Zach, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, I am 11 this year, and the things I like to do is reading and basketball.
Wonderful, Zach. Thank you. Steve, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Steve, and I live in California. Some of the things I like to do is play piano, spin the Rubik's Cube, writing, and reading.
Wonderful. And Luke, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Luke, and I live in San Jose. I go to Murdoch Portal Elementary School, and I am almost 8 years old. Some things I like to do are playing piano and playing golf.
Ooh, wonderful. So now we're going to go back to our host, Kevin, and he'll tell us what's next.
Thank you, Teacher Tanya. Now we are going to have our presenter, Ethan, introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Ethan Chang. I live in Los Angeles, California. I am in 4th grade. Some of my hobbies are biking, reading, and playing golf. I chose this topic because it has an interesting history. History of Alcatraz. Pre-prison history. In the late 1840s, President Miller Fillmore ordered a fort to be built on Alcatraz Island. This is because of the gold rush in California, to protect residents from the newcomers. The fort was built with brick, concrete, and granite to make sturdy walls. 200 troops lived and worked on the island. The fort was also surrounded by guns and cannons for protection. In 1854, the U.S. government built a lighthouse on Alcatraz Island. In 1858, during the Civil War, the Union built a base there to protect from being attacked by the Confederacy. The fort was never attacked by any ships, so they turned the base into a military prison in the 1860s. History as a prison. In 1933, the military handed the island to the federal government. So they turned the island to a federal prison. While Alcatraz was a prison, it was known for infamous inmates. Alcatraz was also known for a notorious escape. Alcatraz shut down in 1963. Post-prison history. In 1969, Native Americans protested on Alcatraz Island because they felt like they're not given a fair price for the island. They also protested for lack of resources on reservations and the overall failures of the federal government to serve Native Americans. They used Alcatraz as an example of the federal government's failure because it sat in 6 years of despair. It was finally opened to the public in 1972. Alcatraz was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1976. In 1986, it became a National Historic Landmark. The famous escape. On June 11, 1962, 4 men named Alan West, Frank Lawrence, Clarence Anglin, and John Anglin tried to escape Alcatraz. Only 3 made it because behind Alan West's vent there was a pipe. The escape was significant because it was said the water was too cold to swim in, there were sharks, and all of the guards were sharpshooters. The men used dummy heads made out of plaster, flash tone paint, and real human hair to trick the guards during the nightly head count. The inmates used raincoats to make rafts. They got the materials from inside the prison. Famous inmates. George Machine Gun Kelly. George Kelly Barnes was a famous gangster, better known as Machine Gun Kelly. George Kelly got this nickname because his favorite weapon was a Thompson submachine gun. George was sent to Alcatraz because he kidnapped a rich oil man named Charles Urschel. George would let Urschel go if he paid Kelly a ransom of $200,000. Charles eventually paid Kelly the ransom. Kelly got caught soon after and spent 17 years at Alcatraz because of this crime. Robert Birdman Stroud. Robert Stroud was nicknamed Birdman of Alcatraz. In 1909, he shot a bartender and was sent to a prison on McNeil Island. He was there for 12 years. In 1916, he shot a guard. Because of this, he had to serve in prison for the rest of his life. In 1920, he discovered 3 injured sparrows. He cared for them, and in a few years, he had a collection of about 300 birds. He even wrote a book called Diseases of Canaries. In 1962, he was sent to Alcatraz because he was making alcohol in his cell. He served 17 years in Alcatraz. He was then sent to a medical center for prisoners until his death in 1963. He served 54 years while going to many prisons. Famous movies. Escape from Alcatraz was a movie about the famous escape that includes Alan West, Frank Morris, Clarence Anglin, and John Anglin. The movie was made in 1979. Another very famous movie is called Birdman of Alcatraz. This movie was about the famous inmate Robert Stroud and his life with birds. It was made in 1962. Now I'll hand it over to our host, Kevin.
Thank you, Yisun. Thank you for your presentation on Alcatraz Island. Now, Annie will do the vocabulary words.
Thank you, Kevin. Notorious. Famous for a bad deed.
So friends, Annie is going to read some vocabulary from Ethan's presentation, and each word that she shares with us, you can raise your hand or raise your virtual hand or type a sentence. Oh, do those 2 things and I will call on you and you can make a sentence or ask a question about the word. Zemo.
I do not want to be notorious. It's bad.
Felix.
I want to be famous, but I don't want to be notorious. I want to be famous for a hero, for being a hero, or for doing a good deed.
Absolutely. Alvin.
Many of the inmates in Alcatraz prison were notorious criminals.
That is true. Ethan, our presenter.
George Machine Gun Kelly is a notorious gangster.
Ooh, yes. And let's see. Miana, did you have your hand up?
Yes. I have a question.
Sure.
Can notorious be something like they did a crime, but they didn't get in prison?
That's possible.
Yes, it is possible. Zemo.
What does gangster mean?
Ooh, Ethan can tell us.
A gangster is a person that's in a gang, which is a group of people, but then gangsters are usually people in bad groups.
Committing crimes. Yes. Alvin.
Okay, so a gangster is a person who was in a gang. So a gang, so it can mean like just for fun. Those like, it can just mean a group of people. It can be just for fun, but when you seriously, a gang is just a group of criminals that do bad stuff.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see what our next word is, Annie.
Infamous. Known for something bad.
Ooh, who would like to make a sentence with infamous? Ethan.
Someone infamous is Robert Stroud.
Ooh, thank you for that real life example. And I heard Ethan teach us about a few infamous prisoners of Alcatraz tonight. Yes, Felix?
Infamous is almost the same meaning as notorious.
Ooh, good connection.
It's the same meaning.
Yes, but it's fun to learn different words that mean the same thing. Yes, Felix?
Synonym.
Synonym,
Yep.
Thank you.
Happy, but that's really boring. You see like excited or like even better adjectives, and infamous notorious. They're both two ways to say one thing.
Yes, I like to call them juicy or fancy words. Okay, let's see what our next word is.
Inmate. A person that is confined to a prison or institute.
Ooh, and I know a friend earlier asked in the chat what an inmate is. Would anyone like to make a sentence with inmate? Yes, Zemo?
Nobody wants to be an inmate because you can probably get caught and then put into jail, which is not a good thing.
Exactly. Emma?
I wonder what that thing is on her hand. Is it a chain or something?
Those are handcuffs.
Yes, thanks, Emma, for that question. Ethan?
A prisoner is an inmate.
Absolutely. Alvin?
Inmates, people in prisons are inmates.
Absolutely.
I
Steve?
couldn't really think of something, but I just wanted to say something.
No, that makes
Police
sense.
catch inmates. Police catch inmates.
Yes, they do. Thank you. Rebecca? Oh, can you?
Inmates live in prison.
They do. Thank you for that sentence. Isaac?
In prison, there is 2 inmates, and 1 inmate broke out.
Absolutely. Zemo?
I have a question about the picture. What's the chain thing around his waist?
It's a handcuff. It's a handcuff, but then the chain thing, I'm not too sure.
Felix?
So there was this like each inmate, I think they get a number. Like I think if we were looking back at the inmates we talked about, like the Robert Stroud or George Kelly, then you'll see they have like a when we showed the pictures, they had like the numbers on the back, and those show like the number 900 something, or they have numbers.
I could explain what the numbers are for.
Oh, Ethan, can you tell us?
Yeah, so then in prison, you don't get called your name. You get assigned a number. Which then, so then it's easier to remember the prisoners that way because they all have a number and they all have like a folder that has everything about them.
So it's like an identification. And friends who have their virtual hands up, be sure to put them down. Let's see what our next word is.
Me.
Isaac, did you have another one?
Yeah,
Okay.
in the car, there are inmates.
Ooh, yes,
One is gonna drive the car, and one is gonna stay in the back.
Yeah, that's the getaway car. Let's see what our next word is for Annie.
Federal. A system of government that is a unity of many states.
Ooh, who would like to make a sentence with federal? Ethan?
The U.S. has a federal government.
Yes, it does. That's a true sentence. Miana?
Does Alcatraz have a federal?
Alcatraz isn't a federal government. It's a federal prison, which is a prison run by the federal government. And when you get sent to a federal prison, you broke federal laws, not state laws.
That was a really good question, Miana. Rebecca?
A building in the government in the United States is called the federal building.
Yes, that is a true statement. Thank you. Steve?
What was the difference between city laws and federal laws?
So, Mom, don't say. So then a federal law is like it's like a bigger law, and then a state law is like a smaller law, and state laws only apply to certain states. And
Excellent.
federal laws apply to all the states.
That's exactly right, Ethan. Thank you. Thanks, Steve, for asking that. Let's see what our next word is.
Evasion. Avoiding something, usually by cunningness.
Ooh, who would like to make a sentence with evasion? Alvin?
So Al Capone was a gangster, and he was also a murderer. But he was very
but he was very smart, and so he didn't get caught for murder. There wasn't enough evidence. Although he didn't get imprisoned for murder, one person found him guilty for tax evasion, and although he didn't get sentenced to death penalty because it was only tax evasion, he still got quite a few years of prison.
That is a true story. Thank you, Alvin. Zeno.
What does cunningness mean?
Ethan, can you tell us about the word cunningness?
So cunningness is by their will. And also, Al Capone served 4.5 years at Alcatraz for tax evasion.
Ooh, thank you for that detail. Yes, Felix?
Basically, cunningness is just like trickery, very tricky, very sneaky, and maybe it's going to be hard to catch this person with cunningness.
Okay, Miana.
Some animals are also cunningness, not just people like foxes are cunning.
Exactly. That's an animal example. Thank you. Let's see what's next.
Someone that lives somewhere on a long-term basis or permanently.
So who would like to make a sentence with resident? Ethan.
I am a resident in California.
Rebecca.
I am a resident of Monterey Park.
Wonderful. These are real life sentences. Luke.
If you are a resident of California, you live in California for a long time.
Exactly. Alvin.
I am a permanent resident of Irvine, California.
Wonderful. Steve.
I am the resident of Los Angeles.
Yes. Venus.
I'm a resident of Rosario Street.
Okay. Zemo.
I'm a permanent resident of Earth.
Felix, did you want to add something quickly?
Like, I wanted to say some people are not resident to anywhere, and I think I forgot the word, but it starts with N, and then
Nomad.
yeah,
Nomad.
they always move around. They're not residents.
Thank you, Felix. Rebecca.
Steve is my brother.
Oh, wonderful. Miana.
Animals be residents?
Yes, animals can be residents if they live in one area for a long time.
Yeah, and they get registered with the city or state. Let's see what our next word is.
Ransom. An amount of money paid for the release of a prisoner.
Who would like to make a sentence for ransom? Luke.
If a prisoner pays a ransom, then he will get released from prison.
It's true. Zemo.
So I think I had one for the other one, the last one. Resident. So I had a neighbor who moved to New York, and he is not a permanent resident to anywhere. He was born in Japan, and some of his parents are in some of his brothers are in London, some of his sisters are in China, some of them are in Japan, some of them are in Korea. Wow.
Yes, Emma.
Handsome man rhymes with ransom.
Oh, yes. Do we have another vocabulary, Annie?
Reservation. Native Americans. A place where the federal government relocated Native Americans.
Ooh, is there one friend who would like to make a sentence with Native Americans? Maybe a friend who hasn't raised their hand yet.
Emma, I want to just type in chat.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Ethan, why don't you tell us?
Native Americans are still relocated to reservations today.
Absolutely. Let's see what's on our next slide. Okay, let's see. Austin is going to read our first question.
If you were the warden boss of the prison of Alcatraz, how would you treat its inmates?
Ooh, if you were the warden, the boss. Miana.
If I were the warden of Alcatraz, I would treat them like some days really good and some days really bad.
Ooh, she's tough. Albert.
Act a bit nicer for the people that did like lesser good or less bad crimes, and then just do or like and then treat the people that did like super bad crimes very bad.
Okay, Luke.
So if I were the warden of Alcatraz, I would treat the people who made a big crime badly and the people who only made a small crime good.
Okay, and Ethan, why don't you answer and then read our next question?
So, if I was the warden, so if the prisoners did something bad in prison, I would not allow them to have any books or magazines to read. So then they don't have entertainment for like the week, but they get their hourly field time a day, and I would not put them in solitary confinement because it can damage their brain.
Thank you. Now, I would always want prisoners to have access to books because it really helps them make good decisions about their life. Ethan, would you like to read the second question? I know we've got to get to Kahoot soon.
Yes, please. So, what is your opinion on the Native American protest on Alcatraz?
Ooh, maybe one friend who can tell us that? And yes, Felix.
I mean, I would sort of agree because, like, if I was just like living in Culver City, and suddenly like some random some random people came, took over the city, and then like they built a prison here, I would feel pretty angry. So I would probably protest too. So I'm supporting the Native Americans. Although I think the protest already done because that's sort of long ago. But I would definitely.
Thank you, Felix. Zemo.
I think that I like the protest because I think that like you can't just kick someone off their land. It's like kicking somebody out of their house and like, hey you, this is my house and I'm just kicking you out, and you didn't even go through everything. You can't just kick someone off their house. It's kicking someone off their land is like kicking them out of their house. So just
Exactly, Zemo. Thank you. So friends, I'm going to sign off now. Fantastic sentences and questions and learning. And we're going to go back to our host and they'll tell you what's next, but I'll see you next week. But stay on so you could play Kahoot.
Thank you for coming to Global Air Learning. Thank you, teacher Tanya, and thank you to our presenter, Ethan, for his presentation about Alcatraz Island. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Next week's Global Air Learning, Austin will be presenting Mozart. If you want to be a presenter or want to be a volunteer, please email us. You can find our contact information at icea1.org, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. We are looking forward to seeing you again. Bye!